Hello, my wonderful people. Welcome to LES Matters TV. Today, I'm going to be talking about how storytelling could be used to promote children's holistic development. Yes, how storytelling could be used to promote children's holistic development. A lot of time, parents, guidance, or teachers use storytelling to encourage young children to use words to develop children's language, but I'm going to point out other ways you could use storytelling to support children's development. Okay, so what is holistic development? Holistic development means looking at the wholeness of the child, talking about the overall development of the child in terms of physical, the child being able to use their fine and gross motor skills. Fine motor skills, the child being able to use their fingertips. Gross motor skills, the child being able to use their whole body, bodily movement. Intellectual development or cognitive development means the child being able to use their brain, the ability of the child being able to process things. Okay, so language, the child being able to communicate, use words with the adult or peers. Okay, so emotional development, the child being able to use their emotions, being able to express themselves. Social development, the ability of the child being able to interact with the adult or peers around them. Okay, so I'm going to point out how storytelling could be used to develop all these areas. Okay, so for example, if you want to read a story with a child, okay, so you could encourage the child to pick the book. Okay, pick the book. Okay, so when the child pick the book, they are using their fine motor skills, which is their fingertips. Okay, so they are using their fingertips to pick the book. Okay, so and this is going to help the child to develop physical. Okay, so the child can also flip the pages of the storybook. Okay, so when you're reading the story as the adult, okay, so you need to encourage the child to flip the pages around. So when they are flipping the pages, they are using their fine motor skills as well. Let them also feel the texture of the book. Okay, so when the child feels the texture of the book, they are using their fingertips. Okay, and it's going to help them in terms of their physical development. Okay, so I've highlighted 3 ways, okay, storytelling could be used to support students' physical development. Okay, so let the child pick the book. Okay, they are using their fingertips to pick the book. Let them feel the texture of the book. Okay, so let them flip the pages around. So that's how storytelling could support students' physical development. Okay, so I'm going to move on to intellectual or cognitive development. So how can storytelling could be used to support this? Okay, so when you're reading the story with the children, or the children are reading the story, okay, so you prompt their curiosity, you ask them questions. Okay, so when you're asking children questions, they are going to use their imagination. Okay, so they have to process the questions that you're asking them, and it has to do with children using their brain. Okay, they are cognitive. Okay, so they're going to process the question that you the question you ask them, and they are going to answer you in return. Okay, so even in relation to intellectual development is what you could ask children. Like for example, if you're reading a story about an animal, you could ask them, how does a dog sound? They're going to process it. They're going to use their brain to process how does a dog sound before they could sound it out and say, yes, a dog sound is woof woof. Okay, so you can see I've already pointed out how storytelling could support children's intellectual or cognitive development. Okay, so let's move on to language, okay, which is mostly a lot of people focus on when they read story with the children. Okay, so storytelling could support children's and language development by you asking them questions. They're going to use words. Okay, and in relation to young children, when you're reading story to them, okay, so you need to take time. Okay, young children, especially from birth to 6 years, it takes time for them to process words. You don't expect children from birth to 6 years to develop or to be the same as children beyond 6 years. Okay, so when you're reading story to young children, okay, you need to slow down, you need to take your time. Okay, so in relation to language development, okay, so children will be able to use words. When you ask them questions, they'll be able to answer you back. Okay, so that's how storytelling could support language development. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to emotional development. Okay, so storytelling could support students' emotional development in the following ways. When you ask the child, okay, how does a dog sound? They're going to use their emotions. Okay, when they read the story, if they're happy, you're going to see it in their expressions. Sometimes young children, when they finish reading a story, and it's a story that interests them, you see them clap, you see them jump, you see them laugh. Okay, so they're expressing their emotions. Okay, so you can see how storytelling could support children's emotions. So now I'll move on to social development. So when you're reading story to young children, or young children are reading the story to you, okay, so they're engaging with the adults. Okay, whether you're the parent or the guardian or your teachers, they're engaging with you, and they're also engaging with their peers. Okay, so if a child is reading a story to you as the adult, or other siblings, okay, so it's going to encourage them, in terms of their social development. Okay, so I'm just going to encourage you, whether you're a parent or you're a guardian or a teacher, when you're reading story to your children, or when your children are reading story to you, make sure you focus on all these other areas of development as well, in order to support their holistic development, because it's really important, especially from birth to 6 years. You have to focus on the holistic development of the child. You have to focus on the overall development of the child, not just one aspect. Okay, so I've highlighted ways storytelling could support young children's development, or children beyond birth to 6 years. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you, whenever you're reading story to children, okay, or the children are reading story to you, make sure you support their holistic development. Make sure you look at ways you could support their physical, their intellectual, their language, their emotional, and the social aspect of the child. Thank you for watching and listening to this video, and do have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.